Good morning and welcome back to Gray Magnolias in the corner of my kitchen. I just get the best lighting here and I'm not gonna possibly wake the little. I am coming here to, instead of kind of like a review after I finish the book, I am doing a read-along reaction per se, because this book is like, I think maybe one of the best books I've ever read as of to date. That is so, I don't even know where to start. I know, I'll start at the beginning because I totally misinformed whenever I talked about this book. I don't know, but the book that I am talking about, which I mentioned in, that was in the video you'll be seeing before this one, I came out before this one, whatever, is, oh god, the counter's like gross, but it's called Water Moon by Samantha Sotto Yambao. And she is not Japanese American, she's actually Philippine. Professional daydreamer, aspiring time traveler, and speculative fiction writer based in Manila, the Philippines. She's the author of Before Ever After, Love and Gravity, Dream of the Trees, and the Beginning of Always, and Water Moon is her 5th novel. I'm most definitely going to be diving in and finding all her books and reading them for sure. Oh my god, what did I do to the back? So this, oh my god, I don't even know how to start. Let me read you the synopsis first so you can get an idea of like what it is. It is, one review here is a spellbinding journey into a magical Studio Ghibli-esque world. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. If this is not made into a Studio Ghibli movie at some point in my lifetime, then the world is corrupt and gone already. So, it is fantasy, whimsical, lyrical, just so beautiful. Like, look how far I am. These are my like little shitty paper notes that I had to like tab, because this is a library book. But look how far I am, and like I'm like, I don't even want to finish it. It's so good. You know when you read a book and it is so good, you're like, oh my god, you're just already sad from like it being over? That's how I feel. So here's a synopsis, which I was just like looking on Fantastic Fiction, Fantastic Fiction. I think I linked it down below in a previous video. I'll link it down below here. This is where you can keep track of your favorite authors, of like everything they've published, up and coming publishings, and all that good stuff. And I was just like skimming through at work while I was just like sitting there, and I came across this. I'm like, that sounds really interesting, I want to give it a try, and I'm so happy I did. So again, here's the synopsis that like sold me. On the back streets of Tokyo lies a pawn shop, but not everyone can find it. Most will see a cozy ramen restaurant, and only the chosen ones who are lost will find a place to pawn their life choices and deepest regrets. Hana Ishikawa, sorry, I'm going to say this right, give me a second. Ishikawa wakes on her first morning as a pawn shop owner to find it ransacked, the shop's most precious acquisition stolen, and her father missing. And then into the pawn shop stumbles a charming stranger, quite unlike its other customers, for he offers help instead of seeking it. Together they must journey through the mystical world to find Hana's father and the stolen choice, by way of rain puddles, riddles on paper cranes, and bridge between midnight and morning in the night market in the clouds. But as they get closer to the truth, Hana must reveal a secret of her own and risk making a choice that she will never be able to take back. Okay, I mean, if that alone does not, you know, take you away, I don't know what will. So I want to read a couple of things. I stopped in the middle of chapter. I know that's criminal, but I was like falling asleep. I'm on chapter 19. Yesterday I was on chapter 6. Chapters aren't that long, and it's like just so good. It's like really hard to put down. The writing is nothing like I've ever read before. Or there's, oh my goodness, Hold on, I'll be right back. Let me find it. I'm not going to be standing here like flipping through the pages. Okay, I found a passage. So she's like waking up. This is just an example. I mean, it's very simple, but it's written in such a way. So she's waking up, she's hungover. She clamped her palms over her ears and fought the losing battle to keep her mind from getting out of bed ahead of her. Some of her thoughts were already almost dressed, fastening the last button of the pawn shop's crisp black uniform. Others were already at the office beneath her room, imagining how her father was going to spend the first day of his retirement, hovering close, double-checking everything she did. It's so simple, but just so good. Continuing on, so this video will contain spoilers. I'm just putting that here now. It will contain spoilers. I'm sorry. I will put as much warning at the beginning, throughout, like, if you don't want spoilers and all that good stuff. So at the beginning of the book, we are being introduced to what this pawn shop is. Literally, it is a place where the lost come, like just as the synopsis said, where people pawn off their life choices and regrets. So we actually get interacted with a customer before the whole like her dad goes missing thing, to kind of like get how the pawn shop works. So she's very confused and lost, like, oh, I was supposed to be at a ramen shop, and like, no, you're supposed to be here. And they have like this whole like very method, rules, like strategy of how to do what they do, right? So they're kind of like really just describing it, and like, oh my god, I don't know, I hope as I keep filming and just doing these videos, I get better. So this woman is, what they want to like give away that holds their regret or choice in life, that like haunts them almost, is in the form of an item. In a previous example, they had this author or would-be author that he wrote like 6 or 7 manuscripts of like haiku murder mystery thing. Like, it could have been the best, but he like stepped back, deleted everything, and just started working at a deadbeat job, like forgoing his dream, right? And he just lives with like, oh, what if, like, why didn't I just, you know, like, he's in a miserable job and he's unhappy and all this stuff. So he gave away a book which held, like, through special glasses that they explain that they have, was his choice. And these things are in the form of a songbird, birds, really colorful, bright birds, so descriptive, so beautiful. So anyways, the whole like part of the process, when someone comes into the shop, they offer them tea, and they give the tea in these bowls that are broken. And there is this technique that Japanese people do, that if the ceramic breaks, they repair it with gold lacquer. I forget, it says what it's called here, but it's not gonna pop out at me. It's just like really beautiful, right? The ceramic thing is cracked, but it's just gold veins throughout, making it a whole new piece, which is really stunning way to like salvage something. So he's offering the tea in this broken gold vein cup to this lady, and she says, those are sorry if I start crying, because I did when I was reading some of this. I was like, oh my god. Those are exquisite, Izumi, which is the customer, says. Thank you. I was rather upset with myself for tripping and dropping them, but in this instance, I will admit that I'm grateful for my clumsiness. And this person speaking is Hana's father, Toshio. Broken things have a unique kind of beauty, don't you think? Is what he says. Izumi traces the bowl's delicate gold joinery with the tip of her perfectly manicured finger. Some things wear their damage better than others, she says softly, so softly that if she were worried that her voice might shatter the bowl. And then the shop owner says, I have found beauty in all manner of broken things, chairs, buildings, people. And she's like, people, especially people, they shatter in the most fascinating ways. Every dent, scratch, crack tells a story. Invisible scars hide the deepest wounds and are the most interesting. So that was like deep. Like, excuse me, are you in my life? I don't know. And then this is the part that really okay, I might start crying. That really got to me. So she's kind of like, he's like convincing her of all of this because she's like, you know, are you playing a joke on me? So it's like part of their process is to convince the customer of like they actually are meant to be there at the pawn shop. Like no one else sees this pawn shop unless they're trying to let something go that is like making their life difficult. So she's like, I'm not your client, you are. Correct. I have not yet decided if what you wish to exchange is of any value. And she's like, enough, I'm tired of your games. Who are you? And then he says, I'm simply a man who offers a unique service to those who require it. A man who can tell that you're crying, not because you're sad, but because you're angry. But not at me. You wish you were, but you're not. You were furious even before you set foot inside this pawn shop. And then Izumi, who's the customer, glares at him. You know, she's blushing, like coloring rising to her neck. Bear with me, I might cry. I am angry. I hate that. I have every reason to be happy, and yet all I feel are the cracks spreading inside me each time I force myself to smile. Is that what you wanted me to say? Is that what you wanted me to pawn? A broken smile, patched with gold like one of your tea bowls? Because if you'll take it, I'll give it to you right now. Moment of silence. That was like, you can see I'm like blushing, like of just kind of like emotion. It was so, I read this at work during my lunch break and I was like, don't cry, don't cry. And then as I read it to my husband last night, I got like super choked up. Because I feel like everyone can relate to that, of just always having to smile and put up a face when maybe you're struggling with something. Because of course, like we can't all be like crying in a corner, you know, like I wish. And then it continues on, like so it's teetering back and forth between a day ago, the night before, the morning of, or 8 months ago, and all the stuff of what transpired leading up to his retirement, to the night of the retirement, of them celebrating, of like what they do, what they exchange for. So these people let these choices and regrets go to the pawn shop owner, and he collects them. And in exchange, because you know, like you pawn something off, like, hey, I want to give you this ring, okay, I'll give you $500 for it, right? But what he gives is this super special green tea. And the lady, Izumi, like this customer, she's like, oh, I could just buy that, this and that. And he's like, yeah, you can, but it's not like this tea. This tea will help fill that void that you're letting go of, just like courage or peace or love or whatever that they, you know, are dealing with. And Izumi's like, I'll leave some surprise as I like film and stuff like that. But what she gave was like really, it was so simple, but she explains like what he sees with these special glasses that helps reveal the like what it actually is hidden beneath, was like really moving and really heartbreaking, of just kind of like, you know, she chose a different path because she thought she would have a better life for it, but she's actually just like miserable and alone and in a loveless marriage type of thing. So yeah, so this tea is going to help her never feel that need to come get ramen in this particular place every autumn like she did for years, you know. Like, so like in conclusion, that's what that tea's going to help her like fill the void of, or however I want to say it. So this probably is going to be a very long video. I'm going to be jumping in and kind of like, I'm buying this. I'm going to have my little $50 gift card to Barnes & Noble's for my birthday. This is one book I'm buying, and again, I'm only on chapter 19, and I cannot recommend it enough. The writing, the description of just like, so it is a love story, and I would highlight the shit out of this book, honestly. Okay. So she meets the guy that comes in and offers help instead of seeking help. They're gonna start traveling through this other world that she lives in, because like she's never been past the door where the pawn shop is, because that's like another world, at least what she's been told. And I think as the story goes on, we're gonna be revealing that kind of like, you know, she was, a lot of things were kept from her and stuff like that. But she has to, his name is Kaishin, to like, hey, hold my hand, we're gonna go. Kaishin laced his fingers through hers. Tiny bolts of lightning struck where Han's skin touched Kaishin's and sent current through her veins. She had cradled countless bright, glowing choices, carefully set them inside their cages, but this was the first time she held anything that felt so free. Kaishin could go anywhere he wished, say anything he wanted, and chase whatever he desired. He was the wind and the rain, unshackled and unpredictable, a storm swirling in her palm. I mean, come on. So I'm like, this is amazing. This is amazing already now. 5 stars. Like, I cannot wait to just devour this. So I'm gonna end this clip here. I wish this was my book. I might tab, like get my little sticky tabs, because those won't damage the book, so I can like keep track of like things I want to say that just like moved me. I don't know how many times like I was in bed and I just had to put the book down. I was like, oh, that's so beautiful, or like, oh my god, that's so tragic. So yeah, I'm gonna end this clip here and I'll continue on. Hello, this is part 2 of me reading Watermoon, and this is the end. I finished it last night and it was so, like, I can't even put into words how amazingly written this book was. I'm most definitely reading more of Samantha's books. I'm gonna hunt them down and read them if they're all like this. Wow. I just want to read, with my little tissues or whatnot, I tabbed a couple more passages that I just want to read for the sake of like how it was written. It is just so so profound. So I mean, like, I don't even know what I said in my last video. I was only on I read up to chapter 19. This book is like 50 something chapters. But just the whole premise of the book, of just like this notion of 2 worlds separated by a door. The world that Hana lives in is just so fascinating but so cruel at the same time. They are running away from the they're on the run. Her and the main male character, Kai. That's Kaishin, but I think they just say Kai. They're running from these creatures that are pretty much ruled the Shikuin, I think that's how you say it. And they're these soulless, multi-voice creatures that are chasing them down for like what's happened. I'm pretty sure like this, obviously the video has contained some spoilers, but I'm gonna try to keep, because the end, I was like, what? The revelation, just like, I had a notion of it at the beginning or like mid-book. Wow. So like, they're running, right? They're running. They have to teleport through puddles of water. They're in the sky market. They have to climb a ladder. They're in clouds. They're in paper boats. They're seeing how the sky is made every night, and the stars are kites with people's hopes and dreams, you know, like their wishes and stuff like that. They're intricately painted and crafted every night. The night market is where so many things are sold. You can, I forget what they're called, but there's these special pearls that grow inside your body that hold precious memories. How everyone's life is just mapped out on this side of the door, which is a very significant point of like a premise of the whole, of kind of like, how do I put this? So, you know, like on this side of the door where Hana lives, her life is mapped out. It's been tattooed on her skin, and how and what it's tattooed with is like super significant in the story. Really thought-provoking, but like, you know, she already knows her destiny, and now she's breaking all these rules that just been drilled into her head and just kind of like battling this like will inside of her of like, I don't want this path that was destined for me. I want this path that's starting to blossom in front of me. Just this museum of paper cranes where the paper cranes hold the significant moments and minutes from the other world, like our world, and how they changed history and everyone's intricate jobs and stuff like that. And it's just so amazing, so like it gets you just like thinking. So I've tabbed a couple like other passages of just, I wanted to just share. I don't really think they contain spoilers, so to say. I'm gonna pause for a second so I can like look for it. Just give me one. Okay. So in this part that I want to read, I just like for the imagery of it, it's something so simple, but how she wrote it was just like, wow, okay. So they're on the run, and where they are is in a memory of Kai's. Like that's where they run. Like that's a safe place that they've run into, and they're like a little kombini having like ramen or whatever. So Kai laughs. So Hana laughed. Kai laughed too, a small chuckle that tickled his belly and did a little happy dance over his tongue. It grew rolling around his stomach, expanding in his chest, uncontrollable and relentless. Kai chortled and gasped for air. A fit of giggles burst from Hannah's lips. Laughter exploded between them, knocking them both to the floor. Kai rolled on his side, clutched his belly, tears welling in his eyes. I don't know. That was just like, okay. I don't know. It's just like, just the writing. The writing alone is so different. I'll toss my little tissue marker away. And, you know, all the stuff she starts finding out, the truth, like, how, you know, how her life came to be, and just like everything else is just like, this is a book for me. Again, this might be a total like DNF for someone else. This for me was just kind of like, I started it, I got teared up in that passage I mentioned in the first part of this clip, and then it's just like, I know this is a book that I don't want to finish, you know, because it's just like, it's gonna be so good, I'm gonna be so heartbroken, and it's gonna be like so bittersweet that it's done. So let me look for the next passage that I want to share. Okay, so I found the passage I want to share. So like, they are now at this part of the book, they're in this library of knowledge, I think it's called. And so she's talking about the books there. Okay, so this is what this other character who's like the librarian, says. Books do not find value when they are written. They find value when they are read. Every book here is both worthless and priceless at the same time. It depends who you ask. As I have not yet had the pleasure of reading half the library's collection, I can say that only the books that I have taken from the shelves stored in my heart are truly precious. That section of the library, the character points out, is my favorite. It's where all possible endings live. When a writer changes his mind about the fate of a character, his story alternate path finds its way here. It's quiet now, but when the books wake up, all the endings like to argue which one is best. I just thought that was, especially as like an aspiring writer, I just thought that was like so cool. Okay, sorry about that awkward cut, but I had to like free up storage on my phone. I'll remove that little tab. So let me see here the okay, so now at this point, I think this is the passage I wanted to read. So they're at the point where they're almost to the place that they've been finding, and they've been jumping from place to place in Hana's world. They're being chased and all this stuff. So they come to this train station. This is not spoiling, it's just, I don't think. And they find that people are like living at this train station waiting, and Hana explains to Kai that like, yes, people are waiting for their train. They don't know when it comes. They could come tomorrow. Some people wait their whole life. They're born, grow old here waiting. They have family, children, or whatever. And they meet this man. who's like been there forever. His wife left 10 years ago with her son because her train arrived and all this stuff. And he told Kai like what, and Kai's like, oh, you're a wise man. And then the gentleman says, no wiser than any of those who wait here. We have been blessed with time to think. It has allowed us to realize that life is about finding joy in the space between where you came from and where you're going. I may never get to where I want to go, but I can look back on my life and say that I did not waste a second of it being bitter, and that I was not someplace else. Happiness does not exist in this place. It lives in every breath we take. We need to choose to take it in over and over again. Yeah, that is like, I don't know, I feel like this book really got me thinking about choices and the path to take, and, you know, the living with regret, and thinking about like what ifs and stuff like that, of like not dwelling on the past, or just kind of like take the chance and choose that path that you feel hesitant to take, so to speak. So, I mean, I most definitely want to acquire this book in the future and read it again and annotate it. It is so beautifully written. It was one of the reviews back here, which I think I mentioned in like the first clip, a spellbinding journey into a magical Ghibli-esque world. Yes. I swear this would make the most astonishing, beautiful, thought-provoking Studio Ghibli type movie ever. Ever. It's so whimsical. It's so imaginative. And so like, I personally believe there's something else out there, that there is things that were there. I mean, like, why wouldn't there be? I don't like, how could it not be, you know, despite what science says and all that stuff. I mean, all these fairy tales, all these like stories that were just told over time, decades, centuries. It's like, how could that have not been around at some point and just disappeared, or they went into their own realm where it's better, or, you know, like, it's possible. So I really enjoyed the, like, especially when they are in the sky and they go to where the stars are made. I love that part. I love that imagery of the stars in the sky are our hopes and dreams and wishes, and that these people every night intricately paint them onto these kites, craft them. They're, you know, someone draws the outline and someone brings them to life and someone adds the color, and then when the time comes, they run into the field, place the kites rightly in the sky, and it becomes a starry night sky. And it was just beautiful, moving. I was on the edge of my seat of like all these revelations and everything. I cannot recommend this book enough. I convinced my coworker. I was like, girl, you need to read this. And I was on chapter 6 at that point when I told her. I have never read a book like this. Amazing. I'm most definitely going to check more of Samantha's work. I can't recommend it enough. I just can't. I can't. Hopefully I will give warning of spoilers. But the ending, I was like, what? And then I was on the couch, like, tearing up. And my husband's like, why are you crying? I don't think he's ever cried reading a book, so maybe he doesn't fully understand. I was like, I don't know how it's gonna end, because one bad thing that I do, a little confession here, sometimes growing up, I used to do this a lot when I would read the first, like, the last sentence of that last page. I know, that's like, why would you do that? But I did not do that here. The only thing I checked to see was like how many chapters. The chapters are short. It's a very quick pace. Like, the amount of world building and just like how she was able to intricately explain this other world that still left you with so many questions. Well, like, what about this? Because the main male character, Kai, he's a scientist of like neurons and just like how, you know, the why, the time and everything. So he's like very like, what he's learned, like this is it, you know. And she's pretty much just like slashed all his thoughts and just like, yeah, that's not like that here, that's not like that at all, you know. And I don't know if like what they do necessarily reflects in the other world. I don't think so. I think this is just like how they make their world work, on the other side of the door and stuff like that. But the ending was bittersweet. It was so beautiful. I cannot recommend this book enough. 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. There's action, there is like so much imagery, there is romance, there is on scene, so there's a couple of spicy scenes, but it was more bittersweet and just like beautiful than kind of like raunchy, dirty, and I have no qualm about that. Like, I love that stuff, don't get me wrong, I'm not judging in any way, like, don't look at my Kindle. But like, it was done like, you know, it was just good. It was just so good, so good, so good. So hopefully my I convinced you to read it. I don't know, let me know down below if you end up reading it, if I sold you on it. Again, I'm not very articulate with this yet. I think I'm just not gonna be. I'm just off the top of my head what I thought. So beautifully written, so well done. Like, the ending was conclusive. Again, very bittersweet. It was a happy ending. It was a happy ending. For a minute, I was like, I'm gonna be wrecked. Because there's this, oh my gosh. There's this movie that's like animated. It's a Japanese movie. It's called The Way, I'll put a picture here. I'll put a picture here. It was, I can't even think about it without like getting teared up. I'll put a picture here. If you want to be like heartbroken, I recommend watching it. I cried so ugly for the whole movie. Like, it was so gut-wrenching. So like, what is this? Like, you deceived me, you pretty colored like movie cover. The music's really good. The story was great, but like, I could never watch it again. Never watch it again. But it's so good at the same time. But it was like gut-wrenching. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if I convinced you to read it. It is so good. It's hopefully it blows up all over. She gets recognized by the Studio Ghibli filmmakers, and it gets turned into a movie, because this is like, like Studio Ghibli for sure. But yeah, I hope you read something just as beautiful, that moves your soul, that makes you cry in a good way or bad way, I don't know, make you feel some emotion, and I hope you make something beautiful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.